Yes, he is. Yes,
And
he is.
there was all these crazy stories from him throwing these two team parties back in 1990 and 91 on the West Coast for that team with Tom Browning and the whole crew, Vanilla. And these are legendary stories, man. And so when he started coming around our team a little bit and showing up in Dodger Stadium and stuff, I would always kind of prod him. It was like, come on, bro, let's throw a party like you did back in 1990, bro.
Right, exactly.
So he finally showed up to Cincinnati one day, and I threw him a little party down at, it used to be a place called FB's in town, over by the, right downtown, almost by Fountain Square.
Okay.
And it was a little place, and underneath it was like a 70s vibe. It was like old boxes, and it had a Miss Pac-Man machine, and it was a small, like quaint little place. It reminded me of being inside of like a mafia little bar that only a few people would go to. And I threw this party for Charlie, and he showed up, and we must have been there. I probably put like 30 or 40 girls in the place and a bunch of friends, and just trying to make them feel comfortable. And I never forget, because they were talking about 2.5 Men was when he was going through that whole thing about,
the tiger blood
and all the stuff, the Adonis DNA and all that. And 2.5 Men was suing him, or he was suing them, or whatever it was. And he was starting this other show. And Todd Zeal was there, the third baseman.
Oh, yeah.
From the Mets back in the day. And I was like, oh, what's Todd doing here? And he was like, man, Todd's one of our best writers. Like, he writes half our shows.
Really?
Like, whoa, what? I mean, that's an amazing talent that nobody knew about. Yeah. And Charlie always had a buddy with him named Tony Todd. It's a black guy who was his best friend since like second grade. If you ever see Charlie, almost all the time, maybe not these days, but for about 20 or 30 years, Tony was always with him. Really clean cut black guy, never had a drink in his life. And Tony calls himself, he says it's Charlie Sheen and Afro Sheen. Those are the two guys. So they're like best buds. I mean, they throw batting practice to each other out in LA, trying to get homers at Dodger Stadium and stuff. And so Tony's there, and we're hanging out, and I'm just having a good time, and I'm kind of staying away from Charlie, letting him do his thing. And all of a sudden, he has a security guard that taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, man, I need you back in this room." And I'm like, "What?" There was this little office. I go back in this office, man, and it's just like this tiny little office. There's mannequins all over the floor that they use for something there, like. But the bottom.
You might not want to know. You might not want to know.
So the legs and the upper torsos were all detached from each other, and they were just all around. And it was just like an office, a little messy, whatever. And Charlie's back in there, man, and he is messed up, dude. He is just freaking like twitching, man. He is like, Bronson, what's going on, bro? He's all over the place. And I'm trying to talk to him, and I'm asking him about being on the set. I'm like, what time do you get up to go on the set? He's like, I go whenever the hell I want. He's getting crazy, and he's starting to tell me like. I can see it. It's 1990 all over again, brother. You guys are going to win the thing. This is in 2012, just before the playoffs. And all of a sudden, finally, the security guard, he looks at me, and he's like, Bronson, listen to me. He's like, this guy's not going to die on my watch, bro. He goes, I got to get him out of here. Right. So I'm like, all right, dude. So I look at Charlie. I swear, I looked at Charlie. We've been talking for like a half hour in there, man. He's just like going out of his mind. Right. I'm like, Charlie, listen, bro. I said, we got a day game tomorrow, man. I go, we got a day game. I go, we need you. We need you, Charlie. He goes, all right, man. He finally concedes. Me and the bodyguard, we literally drag him up the stairs, dude, to this back alley. His feet are dragging on the stairs like a dead person. Boom, 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 all the way up to the top. The back door opens, and dude, this black SUV is raining. Black SUV comes screeching out of a movie, dude, like Men in Black, man. Guys with earpieces and stuff. They throw Charlie in the side of the car, dude. He disappears. He was so drunk, it was unbelievable. And then the next day, you see him on the Jumbotron. Charlie Sheen gives $50,000 to the community fund of the Reds, and he's like, hey, guys, that's just a daisy, bro.